Hi, I'm Alan Ogilvie. I'm lead product manager at Friend MTS, and I want to talk to you today about attacks on subscriber watermarking technologies, give you a brief insight, and tell you about our in-depth white paper that looks over the options, not just our own watermarking technology, ACID, that's Advanced Subscriber Identification, that's deployed widely across the globe. We wanted to create a white paper that explained the different watermarking techniques for subscriber level identification, allow you to make informed decisions about which is the best for your solution. But before we get into that, I just want to make this clear that pirates will always choose the cheapest, easiest to capture, and most scalable service to source from. More and more pirates are sourcing from legitimate streaming media services. That's because more and more premium content is exclusively available on those services. So it's important for us to help you protect your investments and revenues. This presentation is just a high-level taster that will cover what's beyond DRM, digital rights management, for OTT and streaming services. What areas of the content distribution chain does it protect and what are the limits? I'm going to talk about video watermarking, how it fits into this, take you through three of the most common techniques. I'm then going to talk briefly about where attacks against watermarking tend to focus, and then about the importance of monitoring for pirated material once it's been watermarked. I'll conclude by giving you links to the resources I mentioned, namely the white paper request page and also information on our initiative with Intertrust and Bitmovin around securing playback effectively with DRM and watermarking. So, digital rights management, or DRM, is a set of technologies used in video OTT streaming services to secure the delivery of media on the internet. But we must remember that the majority of the DRM widely deployed is only effective up to the point of consumption, the screen or the HDMI cable. Policies controlling output aren't robust enough to protect further. For example, requiring HTTP for digital output isn't going to truly protect the pirates, as this is commonly worked around. For this, you'll want to add a forensic video watermark. Depending on the technology, the watermark could contain generic information about where it came from, but it could also contain information on the device's IP address, the session details of the player, the identifier of the subscriber, or pretty much anything else that's useful to know. This is called the watermark's payload. If a video is found from a pirated source and it is identified to contain a watermark, then we can extract this data from it and provide that information to a legitimate streaming service provider who can use that data to take action. I'll leave the details on what they can do for another time. So let's take a look at three of the common video watermarking techniques. Firstly, we have bitstream modification watermarking. It involves modifying specific areas of the video to uniquely identify the viewer or session without impacting the video experience. It's a two-step technique. The first step is server-side pre-processing to identify areas of the video for modification, and then computing the substitutions that will be made to encode the payload. The second step is either CDN edge processing, workflow option 1 shown here, or client processing, workflow option 2, for embedding the payload. Hence, this is a hybrid technology that combines server-side and edge-side or server-side and client-side processing. The second technique is called AB variant watermarking. The same video is processed into two variants. One containing watermark distinguishes an A, the other a B. If you like to think of this as a binary zeros and ones, that's okay. Basically just two different watermarks that can be used in a unique sequence that uniquely identifies the subscriber. The payload of this watermark is basic. It can only contain generic information about where it was distributed from. It's a unique order for the segments that would allow a specific subscriber to be identified. You can consider here that the payload that uniquely identifies the subscriber is spread across the timeline of the video. Also, I like to think of this as old school Morse code, and if that makes you think about the time it takes to convert incoming dots and dashes into words, then you're not far wrong with the uniquely watermarked stream. In order to deliver this, you obviously need to pre-prepare the video segments with two variants. That means you'll need extra resources during encoding and extra storage space, and then multiply that by your adaptive bitrate ladders. So, our third watermarking technology makes use of the client device, where the watermark is composited with the video. We describe this as client composited. I've shown here two different methods of delivery, but they both come down to the composition happening at the client. On the top here, I'm showing how a set-top box, perhaps one way, so no internet connectivity, generates the watermark locally and composites it with the video. In the lower workflow, this is for OTT or streaming services where internet connectivity is available and generation of the watermark is done outside of the client and passed for the composition on the client. For the former, on the set-top box, this is where it's a trusted, secure environment. On the latter, the OTT solutions, some clients are trusted less depending on the environment, and so generation of the watermark is outside this. Unlike with AB variant, the client composited technique means your video encode remains the same, with the same resources required to deliver as usual. No extra storage in your media delivery chain. Also, this watermark is always present. Unlike AB variant, which requires a much longer time period to uniquely identify a subscriber, client composited watermarking can be extracted from much shorter captures of suspected pirated material. Client composited, by the nature of being added on the client device your subscriber is using, allows for the watermark payload to contain some of the rich data that we mentioned earlier. Client IP address, subscriber identifier, etc. And to identify a subscriber, unlike AB variant, it isn't spread out across the video timeline. It's always on. If you want to think of the client composited a bit like a QR code or similar, the imperceptible watermark would look like seemingly random patterns if you were forcing it to be visible. So before we get into discussion about the attacks on watermarks, let's have a quick look at where attacks target within the content distribution chain. So we should take a look at the content distribution chain. A very generalized chain is shown here and is not specific to a particular architecture. So for example, content delivery could be via satellite for video with bitstream modification or client composited, but could also be content delivery network for public internet in the case of OTT streaming solution using, say, AB variant or client composited. We can use this chain to talk about where attacks on the watermarking is focused by pirates who like to find and exploit the weakest points in the chain. So for bitstream modification or AB variant watermarking techniques, pirate attacks focus on the content delivery into playback, attempting to interfere with the sequence of the video delivery. For client composited attacks, they focus on attacking at the playback point. And attacks follow up the chain. So attacks on AB variant can also happen around the attacks for client composited, but as pirates always seek the weakest link, they only need to break AB variant at the earlier point in the chain, for example. So let's talk about the actual types of attacks. Again, these are going to be very brief. More detail is available in our white paper. We have request response monitoring attacks. They attack during the delivery to playback link, targeted usually AB variant for manifest switch and edge switch variants of that. Collusion using two devices and a video mixing device. Delivery to playback link again, usually AB variant, manifest switched, edge switched again. Bitstream modification can be attacked here as well. Frame fragments collusion is at the playback link, and that tends to attack the client composited. Composite collusion, again at the playback link, and that tends to attack client composited as well. There are some variants of this, including for 3 of these, so the first one, the third one, the fourth one, switching video sources as well on top of this by the pirate can also cause additional problems. And for the second one there, collusion using 2 devices and a video mixing device, traitor tracing is often employed by things like AB variant, but is easily broken by, again, switching or increasing the frequency of breaking the sequences. And finally, all this is part of a well-architected and end-to-end solution that enables effective anti-piracy. Even with watermarking enabled, you still need to monitor for pirated material to find illicit sources containing your material and then extract the payloads within the watermark so you can shut down the original source the pirate received it from. So you'll want a robust DRM, watermarking working together, and an effective monitoring service. This is to secure your content delivery with a DRM, monitor for pirated material, and identify source of content theft from embedded information in the watermark unique to that subscriber, allowing you to take action to lock down. So, in summary, a lot of detail about these techniques and attacks are in the white paper available. I've given you the QR code for that on the top left. Also, in regards to implementing environments including DRM and watermarking together with playback, we're collaborating with our partners Bitmovin and Intertrust to bring you a series of blog posts and videos talking about how to connect it all together. Some of the gotchas, some of the insights and common flaws to help you check your security on the distribution chain, and we're calling that How to Trust Your Player. We have a central website archive of the content as it's published on the partner sites and the link here to the QR code on the right-hand side. So it just leaves me to remind you that piracy is a big business and content rights holders and platforms need to protect their investment and revenue models. And the best way to do that for OTT is to use a good DRM, a widely deployed watermarking technology, that's our ACID watermarking by the way, and monitor for piracy to enable you to take action and stop piracy at source. My contact details are here if you want to contact me directly. Thank you.